Ladies and gentlemen, as we move to our final award of the evening, many years ago we realized that certain people in business had simply achieved too much. And we created the Outstanding Achievement in Business Award. Some of those recipients in the past included Tony Ryan, T.K. Whittaker, Peter Sutherland, Tony O'Reilly, Michael Smurfett, J.P. McManus, Niall Fitzgerald, Dermot Desmond. We are honoured tonight to introduce this award, a very special guest indeed, who has travelled from Canada this evening to be with us. Can I welcome, please, Galen Weston to the stage.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Is that it? I'm on my own. My function here is to introduce somebody that's very special in terms of many, many years of life and so on. But just before I do that, I got to tell you, I'm very moved by this evening and the activities of so many and the stories that are so exciting, dynamic, and wonderfully represented by their individuals and by their sponsors. So it's been a wonderful evening so far for me to be part of this, and I appreciate the fact very much that I was invited to be here. Now, if I can go back to my observations, I'm here to introduce a man I have known for, I think it's 41 or 42 years, and his name is Arthur Ryan. My only problem is tonight that Arthur Ryan is no longer the name that should be used to introduce him, because I just heard when I got off the plane that he is now Dr. Ryan. Okay, so I'm sure you'll all take that to heart. And Arthur, nobody has been shyer in his life than you, in terms of my experiences with you anyway. And I just feel that the fact that you're being spoken about today in a wonderful way, and also that something happened just last week or the week before, which again reflected the activities of you and your family and all the things that you represent. So, but I will nevertheless stop at suggesting that the doctor could cut me open or anything like that, okay? Because that's just not, I think, your skill set. At least I'd be very surprised if it was. But I will do my best to keep this doctorate thing alive in all the different countries that you and I spend time with. And so I congratulate you on your enhancement anyway, if I can use that. Now, Arthur and I met at Mary Street, and I'm sure all you shooters know where Mary Street is here in the city, in about 1965. A little story, if I may. He walked into what at that time was my new store, which I spent a lot of my money on, and I didn't have a hell of a lot at that time. And he introduced himself. He walked down the street, and he introduced himself and told me that however pretty the store was, I had no chance. I had no chance whatever of making a success of it. And I said, well, why was that, sir? Because I didn't really know who he was. I was 23, 24. He might have been a little bit older, but he was very much a local guy who knew his stuff from a business standpoint. Anyway, he really made it quite clear to me that if I was going to continue to work in clothing type businesses, that he would see me home to Canada, which I thought was a very generous thought to do. Anyway, I guess the other thing in that meeting that I remember very clearly was that he said quite clearly, or he certainly thought quite clearly about who I was, because he said to a number of other people, he said, who is that simple Simon Canadian that at 24 years of age that he could imagine that he could come to Dublin and make a successful business out of it? Well, I never really got a chance to answer that question, Arthur, but maybe a little later on this evening we can talk about that. But in an hour later that day, I discovered that he had experienced yet another attack, if I can put it that way, from a premium boss, and he was ready for a change. And after the hour was up, we had developed a relationship, and he came and worked with me, and I was on that store for about 10 years, and before I went back to Canada, and then he took it on, and it wasn't much of a company. I hadn't had to close it down, I hadn't had to sell it, but so as soon as he took it on, anyway, he wound it up and made a fantastic story. And I think all of you know, and some of the numbers will come up on the screen in a minute, the success that he has brought to the retail business here in Ireland, and obviously in the latter years right across Europe. So the numbers will come out. If you don't already know them, they are spectacular, and I'm just thrilled that I was able to be with him and his team, all of whom are here tonight, and should be recognized for having built a spectacular business. I'm in competition with him in a number of other areas in different places. I watch what he does very closely and have done now for a long time. And you Irishmen and women should know that you've got a superstar in your midst. And I'm just thrilled to have been able to spend a lot of time with him over those years. Now, in closing, yesterday, I watched Bloomberg early in the morning from Toronto, and the IDA, your IDA, opened their ad with a fresh line describing Ireland as a country of movers and shakers of the world. And again, just to connect back to my observations earlier on and what I heard from so many of you, I think they were right, absolutely. And Arthur, you are unquestionably one of those shooters.